Hi everybody. This week we really have a lot to deal with. This is what I call the week of the test. Week of the test. Now we know this week follows right on the heels of the new moon of Cancer. And in the new moon of Cancer, in case you didn't hear it, you should listen to the talk we had about the new moon of Cancer, which deals with confusion. Now, if confusion wasn't enough, this week is actually the manifestation of confusion. Why? You'll understand why in a minute. It's the weekly portion which is called Balak. Now, Balak is one of the most negative Bible characters in the entire Bible text. And we know that the biblical characters are not for us historical figures, but they're rather cosmic indications to make us aware and to give us tools for whatever is happening cosmically. Because whether we are aware of it or not, like it or not, we are affected by what goes on in the cosmos. And that is why the Creator, in His infinite wisdom, did give us tools, did not leave us here helpless to kind of just fend for ourselves by the onslaughts of whatever negativity might be around or wherever it will come through, sometimes through people, sometimes through things, events, circumstances, and we need to deal with it. So, of course, the Creator did not leave us helpless. There are tools. Now, if we avail ourselves of those tools and make use of the consciousness, good. If we don't, well, we have nobody to blame but ourselves then, have we not? So when we refer to this week, we're dealing with, again, the concept which is called Balak. Balak, again, one of the characters, but he is not alone. He is teamed up with a partner who is named Billam. Now, just to give you a little bit of an idea of the power of Billam, Billam, of course, he's famous for trying to curse the entire Israelite nation, in fact, all at the same time, with his evil eye. And that was his power. His power was in magic and what you would call maybe a black magician, and Balak was a warlock, like a witch. His power was in also in incantations and so on. Billam had the power of curses, to be able to curse. So the two of them actually teamed up together was actually a very, very negative combination. And that's just to give us a little bit of an idea of what we're dealing with this week. Doesn't sound pretty, but we know the rule. And let's remind ourselves of the rule. The Creator, for every negative, there is an equal and at least an opposite and at least equal positive. And vice versa. For every plus, there's a minus. For every minus, there's a plus. And again, it all depends on us, what we are working towards. Now, for some of us, it's just plain easier and takes a lot less effort to see what's negative. And unfortunately, that's the consciousness we create. It's unfortunately what we will need to play out. If that's the consciousness we inject into things, well, then that's what we need to deal with. But we should not forget that it is by our own creation, not the Creator. Creator gives us an opportunity to move forward and to create something new. In fact, this month, the month of Cancer, the code for this month has a phrase, just as every other month does. And the code for the moon, which rules this month, is called Oseh Chadashot. Oseh Chadashot. Oseh Chadashot means the one who creates new things. new things. That's correct. Because the moon, if we can imagine the moon, has no light of its own. And therefore, it is up to us to create new light, new energy, new things, new entities that have never existed, at least for us, before. And that's why there's so much opportunity this month. It's almost like an empty vessel waiting. It's just waiting for us to create a new creation. But again, just as everything, it can go for us one of both ways. And that's why we need the learning, and that's why we need tools, and that's why we need the support systems that, thank God, the tools of Kabbalah give us. So just for us to understand just a little bit of the idea, there are great opportunities this week for openings. And what do I mean by openings? Openings mean that there'll be an opening for us to or create something new, or an opening for negativity to come in, God forbid. Now, again, they have to go hand in hand. Or creating an opportunity, which means what? Let's imagine, like when we go outside without a jacket, what does your mother always tell you? Don't go outside, you'll catch cold. Well, is that really true? Now think about it. There are germs everywhere. And whatever the bacteria and viruses are, going outside in the cold does not, by within itself, give you a cold or make you sick. Rather, what's the real truth? When you go outside and your body temperature goes down, it can lower your immune system. Now, when your immune system has been lowered, yes, it's true. You are more susceptible to catching that cold. You're more susceptible. You have an opening now for that germ to enter. Now, the same thing holds true spiritually. While the going outside by and within itself is not the problem, it's what the going inside creates for us, creates an opening, and if that negativity is present, well, then you need to be careful. And so that's why it's also behooves us to know how to protect ourselves. Because even Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar, when he knew there was danger, he didn't go out, and he was Rabbi Shimon. Well, one would think, at least Rabbi Shimon would say, well, I'm protected enough. I mean, the Zohar creates protection. I reveal the Zohar, surely I'm protected. But actually, in fact, the true righteous person, true protection does not come from that type of idea. In fact, one of the origins of protection is humility, and never feeling that you have enough protection and always working and striving for more. That's something that we're supposed to do. So Billam and Balak, these two very negative characters, are out there, and again, not the actual people, but cosmically, there's a cosmic force that is waiting for our immunity to be down, like for the shields, our shields to be down this week. In fact, we know next week we have the healing that comes, but it only comes after a plague. The plague starts this week. In the end of the Torah portion, the story. So we'll get to what actually started the plague to begin with. But that just fell on the floor, so I just picked it up. So to understand properly, what are the force of Billam and Balak? Sorry, I don't have a more fancy handout. But here's the name Bil'am in Hebrew, composed of four letters, Bet, Lamed, Ayin, Mem Sofit, the final Mem, spells Bil'am. So just to give us an idea, how strong was his negativity? Well, the Bible is very clear, and it says at the end of the Bible that never did it happen that a prophet arose in Israel in the level of Moses. Lo kam navi ben Israel ke Moshe. not another prophet ever arose in Israel as Moses. But the Bible text is very succinct when it says, a prophet never arose in Israel. Oh, what about the other nations? And actually, the scriptures and the Zohar tells us that actually in the other nations, there did arise a prophet in the level of strength of Moses. And guess who that was? That's right, you guessed it, Billam. Billam was on equal grounds with Moses spiritually. However, Moses from the light side, from the side of good and light, Billam from the side of the darkness, negativity. So, very interesting. So we need to know that. Then we had Balak. And again, in partnership, they represented two levels of negativity through consciousness and words. The consciousness of negativity and evil eye and cursing. Now, when we have the two names, what's interesting, this is Balak, Bet, 3 letters, Bet, Lamed, Kuf, Balak. Out of the two names, there are 2 letters in each name which are the same. And they are the Bet, Lamed, Bet, Lamed. So we ask, what is that? What does that mean? And remember all the talk we had about confusion? Well, there's only one thing worse than confusion. And that is when we add to confusion doubt and uncertainty. That's what this is about. These 2 letters that come from each one of their names spell out the word Bet Lamed, spell Bilbul. Bilbul means a mess, a totally confusing mess. It's doubt and confusion all rolled into one. I mean, what could be worse? What could be more painful? Now, you know, sometimes when we're in a situation, and let's think about it for a moment, the uncertainty just kills us. Not knowing the answer to some question. Maybe it's not knowing the answer to a health question. You know, sometimes you just want to know, and just wanting to know the answer. Can I trust this person? You want to hire someone, you want to know. You don't know, maybe, because you heard something. Now you don't know if it's true or not. What are you going to do? The uncertainty can be very painful. In fact, when we have important decisions to make, actually the uncertainty in the process is the most painful part of the process. Deciding this way or that way, that's great. But the uncertainty is what kills us. The uncertainty in the process. And that's what we have over here. We have a very healthy dosage, not only of uncertainty, but confusion within the uncertainty, all mixed up. That is the force of these 2 people together. Doubt, this is the confusion, Bilbul, and the remaining 2 letters, Ayin, Mem, Lamed, Kuf, from both names, Ayin, Mem, Lamed, Kuf, the Ayin, Mem from Billam, and the Lamed, Kuf from Balak, 2 letters from each, spell out Amalek. Amalek. And we know, those who've studied Kabbalah, Amalek means the seed of the force of doubt and uncertainty. Doubt and uncertainty. It's that nation that always lies in wait to hurt us. When does it hurt us? It's not there to hurt us when we're certain. It's there when we have uncertainty. Bam! It's right there at a moment's notice. That nation of Amalek is there to hurt us. Why? Because of our own doubt. Because of our doubt in the process. Because of our doubt in the Creator. Because of our doubt that whatever happens actually happens for a good. and positive reason. But who makes it negative? Even the most negative situation or circumstance, who makes it negative? Can we really blame God for creating negative circumstances or for, causing me this problem or this situation? It doesn't matter what happens. We have the power to transform the most severe form of negativity into something positive. And in fact, that's what happens this week to the Israelites. And I'll explain that in a moment, but I want to read from the Zohar. And I'm reading from the Tikkunei Zohar. The Tikkunei Zohar, just to illustrate what the Zohar and what Kabbalah is trying to teach us, and as difficult as it is for us to comprehend, because every time we go through a new situation, sometimes it's like, again, meeting for the first time, like we never heard any of this before. I know we all go through it and we all react to things that happen to us in our life, sometimes like it's the very first time. But we really need to get it, because it's the only way we'll be able to effectively change it. And we're the only ones who can do it for ourselves. No one else can change our destiny for us. I remember, and I believe it was in this week, that I lost a wallet. Many, many years ago, I lost wallet, and I think, I had received several donations. I put the money in my wallet, and luckily it just wasn't there. It wasn't in my pocket. I was in New York, in the center in New York. And, well, thank God, we had our teachers, the Rav and Karen, and the consciousness of the Rav would instill within us time after time. And it's all about how we respond to a situation. The closer the response time to the event, the better. So at that moment, I sat down in my chair in my office, and I felt in my pocket and realized, oh my God, where's my wallet? And at that moment, I said, okay, wait a minute. It's from the light. Don't want to react to it. If I need to lose it, I understand there's a reason why I need to lose it. There's some price I need to pay. There's something I need to do. There's something I need to learn. And in fact, maybe I don't even know what it is, but it doesn't really matter. I don't really need to know that smart, because I do have the certainty and I have the faith that if I had to lose my wallet, then I'm better off without it. Okay? And that's the consciousness I did inject immediately. And there have been many occasions like that over the past 30 years of my involvement with the center. Well, in about an hour, magic happened. Somebody came in off the streets, and apparently I was in maybe 2 blocks away. There's a bagel place, and I was grabbing a bite for lunch. And apparently someone just got pushed out of my pocket, and someone walked. They saw my driver's license and the center's address was on it. They took a chance. They walked the 2-3 blocks. They brought my wallet back. Now, this is New York City, Midtown Manhattan, cash money. I mean, what are the chances, right? So we have so many stories of miracles like that in the center. But that's a personal story that, just to illustrate. Now, and I'm sure, the other part is that I'm sure, had I reacted and said, oh my God, this is terrible, oh, what are the, and gone into that rabbit hole, which it would have been so easy to do, I wouldn't have seen the wallet. Because I would have blown the test. I would have blown the lesson that the Creator wanted to give me. It was a test of certainty. Sometimes it's a test of giving. Sometimes it's a message. But there's always something for us there. Always. That's the first step of knowing that the Creator has some plan for us right now, and being certain about that. That's one of the ways to take control. Now, let me read to you what the Zohar says here. It says, V'chad ba'na shalit al Yitzrei. and for the individual who takes control of his inclination. His inclination means, what our inclination means, the negative inclination, which means the reactive side of us, the fearful side of us, the worried side of us, the angry side of us, that side of us which reacts to the moment. The individual who is successful in taking control over his inclination, ne'afach nachash lemateh. The snake turns into a staff. Now, of course, what is this referring to? Of course, it's a little bit of a code. If you remember the Bible story, again, it's all a code to teach us about consciousness. Moses had a special kind of stick that he performed miracles with. The 10 plagues were performed with a shepherd's staff. Well, one of the first little tricks that Moses performed with his stick was turning the stick into a snake, right? In front of the Egyptians. Of course, the Egyptians were able to duplicate that without now going into the details, but the Zohar is trying to tell us something here. For the one who takes control is able to take control of his reactive inclination to react to that moment, meaning he doesn't inject certainty. He doesn't feel right in this moment. Maybe later to think about it, but right now in the moment while you're busy being afraid, angry, distressed, depressed, and all those things, the traps, they're all traps, we fall into them. For the one who's successful, he turns the snake into a staff, meaning snake representing something which is negative. We turn the negative into an object that can perform miracles. Okay? I hope we understand that. I think it's very clear. When we gain control over our inclination in that moment, and we inject the certainty, then we turn the snake, which means the negative situation, doesn't matter what it is, even the most negative situation, we turn it into the staff, the shepherd's staff, Moses' staff, with which he created 10 miracles, which means we turn the negative into the ultimate positive. Ve'im yitzle shalit aleh, but the opposite. If his inclination is successful in controlling him, if our reactive behavior, if our reactive consciousness, if fear, if lack of trust, if not trusting the Creator, if not trusting the process, if not trusting the situation, gains control over us, if our desires themselves gain control over us, well, unfortunately, Sev, nefach mimatel nachash, the potential for miracle staff, the miracle staff which is there at that moment, now turns into a snake. And so that potentially positively transformative situation, because the more negative it appears, the more transformational potential it has, it turns into a snake. And I don't have to tell you what that means. It turns into a negative thing. And that's certainly something we don't want. And so therefore it says, Umiyad vayanas Moshe mipanav. Moses ran away from before them. My vayanas. What is the meaning of vayanas? Vayanas means to run away. And we know Elahachi rami shinui makom. The Zohar says there's a secret here, changing of space. Now, what does the Zohar mean, changing of space? Because the word vayanas, to run away, has in it the word nes. Vayanas, to run away, has the word nes. Nes means a miracle. Nes. Chanukah, miracle. Nes. Comes from the word vayanas, which means to run away. What's the secret of running away? So the Zohar says there's a secret. What's the secret? To change your space. Shinui makom means not to physically change your place, but to change your place here. To change your consciousness means to change your place. To change one thing to the other thing, to change your place of doubt and uncertainty, to change it to a place of certainty, to yes, as negative as this seems, I trust. I don't see it in front of my eyes. Obviously, I don't. When I see it in front of my eyes, obviously there's no challenge, there's no test, there's no removal of bread of shame, there's nothing for me to do. My work is to trust when I don't see it, to trust beyond our logic, as we learn, beyond our rational mind. But if you're only a rational thinker, I'm afraid then you have a problem. Then we have a problem. If we're only rational thinkers, then it's going to be more difficult for that person, unfortunately. Nevertheless, we still need to get to that place. You know something? It's really the secret to everything. It's really the secret to everything, because in the end of the day, now, of course, the Israelites were all gathered. When Billam was looking from the top of the hill and he put his negative, his eye, his evil eye on them. And we know the secret of evil eye is consciousness, negative consciousness, which, yes, it is possible for a person to send. So, does everybody look at us with good eye? Well, you know, we were taught many years ago, number one, if you're worried about evil eye, well, you never have to worry about evil eye. Unless you have a little evil eye yourself. And we all have a little evil eye, though we may not be aware of it. We all have a little bit of lack. When we look at other people, we may unwittingly, unknowingly even transfer that lack to other people. So, yes, we do have openings of different types. And as we said before, going outside without your jacket while by itself doesn't make you sick. Being around negative people by itself doesn't mean you're going to get that negativity. But only if we are susceptible can we catch it. Only if we have openings can we catch it. So in the first level, the Israelites were protected because Billam looked, he tried to curse everybody. What came out of his mouth? One of the greatest blessings. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael. A blessing that has lasted for all the generations till now. One of the greatest blessings came out of the transformed curse that came out of the mouth of Billam. He opened his mouth to curse, out came a blessing so strong it would last all the generations. That's how strong it was, just to give us an idea. Because the Israelites were protected at that time. Of course, unfortunately, they did devise a plan. Billam and Balak did devise a plan towards the end. And the scriptures tell us that they did devise a plan utilizing women and sex, that they enticed many of the Israelites into, which weakened them spiritually. It weakened their immune system, and that created the plague, which killed 24,000 people, until, of course, Pinchas came to the rescue, and that story is in the following week. But even that was the opportunity for us to draw power of healing also for the entire year. So again, even out of every curse comes a blessing, out of every negativity. But several things we need to know. Number one, to protect ourselves, we need to try to keep ourselves away from the openings. It's true, we need to watch ourselves from negativity. That's definitely true. And never to knowingly go to a place where there are negative people. Again, that doesn't mean people that I have problems getting along with. That doesn't mean they're negative. That means I probably have issues that I need to deal with. But negative people it's a whole conversation. People who are truly negative people, who are only bent on hurting others, and they don't have any positive intention. Again, we are not discussing people who I have issues with, because chances are they are just that, people who we have issues with, which it's awakening our correction and our karma that we need to do something about it, and we need to work it out. And we need to find the light in those people. even the most negative people in our life, probably isn't what we would truly call a negative person. They're not Billam and Balak, that they spend their entire existence just trying to harm humanity and curse others and so on. Though there are people like that, for sure. But chances are they're not in our, in our circle of friends. But we do need to protect ourselves from creating openings. That's true. When we go outside, we should put our jacket on. And we need to be mindful. The most powerful tool there is, we know, and we can't repeat this enough times, is the power of certainty and injecting certainty when it most counts. Right in the beginning of a situation where we feel challenged. The first step is always going to be, wait a second, I know this is from the light. Now, already, however it's going to play out, it's going to be better. I know this is from the universe to give me an opportunity to learn, test, whatever it is for other people. Now, other people may be involved. That's fine. And they usually are. Now, they have their lessons to learn as well, and sometimes we need to help out with that, of course. But again, if I'm dancing in the same scenario, it means I have some form of equal responsibility. So if somebody steals from me, as an example, there has to be a reason for that. Nothing happens by chance. Nothing happens by coincidence. So could be I didn't give enough for myself one way or the other, and giving is not only financially. It could be I've withheld, could be a lot of different things. So, but if someone is able to take anything, if someone is able to take respect away from me, if someone is able to take anything away from me, it simply means that at some point I took it away from someone else, or I was not mindful enough to give it to the ones who count, and I owe them for whatever reason. So, we always have lots of thinking to do. That's what spirituality is about, after all, isn't it? This is the week of transforming every form of curse into blessings beyond our expectations. Thanks very much.